and welcome back to the channel. What I thought we'd do for today's video is take a trip back in time, back to the days of FIFA 15. So we'll be looking at every championship club's player with the most potential on FIFA 15 and seeing what they're up to these days. Did they live up to that potential or did they end up flopping? Make sure to leave a like on today's video if you do go on to enjoy, and leave in the comments down below if you'd like to see me do this for any other years of FIFA. But without any further ado, let's hop into this one. Luton Town Pelirula Campanzu, 67 potential. Now FIFA have absolutely smashed this one. Back in the day of FIFA 15 he was rated 55, had a potential of 67, and on FIFA 20 he's rated 67, so they got this one spot on. Obviously he's been a great player for Luton throughout the years, gone all the way from non-league up to the championship with them, and so fair play to FIFA for that one, they got that potential spot on. Barnsley, James Bree, 75 potential. Now this one was a bit of a weird one because back in FIFA 15 Barnsley had a lot of young players, but interestingly enough the highest potential out of all of them was James Bree, obviously now playing his football in the championship out on loan at Luton Town. After playing for Barnsley for a few years he made his move to Aston Villa, and then since that move to Villa didn't really establish himself and hasn't really kicked on to the next level after that. James Bree these days 65 rated on FIFA. Middlesbrough, Patrick Bamford, 78 potential. I mean FIFA weren't a million miles away on this one. Bamford these days is 72 rated on FIFA, and we all know a bit of a hit and miss striker. Back in the day for Borough though, this season while he was on loan he was absolutely prolific. He scored 19 goals in the championship this season. I think won the player of the year for the championship as well, as Borough were almost promoted, and this is when a lot of people thought that Bamford really would go on and kick on and be a big thing in the Premier League if anything. He's a decent striker at this level, but he's just not quite made that step beyond that a few people thought he would. Hull City, Andy Robertson, 82 potential. A lot of people, especially at Hull, thought that Robertson would go on to, go on to big things, but not quite as big as he's gone on to become. Obviously these days he's 85 rated on FIFA and probably is one of the best fullbacks in the world right now. Back in FIFA 15 he was a 20-year-old 71 rated fullback for Hull, and since then he's just gone completely to another level. Huddersfield Town, Reece James. No, not that Reece James, this Reece James. He had the potential of 74 after coming through at Man United. Big things were expected of him, and he was actually out on loan from Manchester United at Huddersfield this season, but his career just didn't quite take off like a lot of people thought it would. He made a permanent move over to Wigan. After that spent a year at Sunderland and is now playing for Doncaster. Has established himself as a decent player in League One. On FIFA these days he's 68 rated, so just hasn't quite lived up to what people thought he once would become. Charlton Athletic, Tony Watt, 78 potential. Considering he's just 26 years old, he's played for quite a few clubs already throughout his career, 12 already, and early on in his career he was hyped up quite a bit. When he made his move over to Celtic there was interest from clubs like Liverpool. He went on to play 56 times for Charlton, scoring 10 goals for them in the process, and then after leaving them has become a bit of a journeyman, going everywhere really. These days he's back in Scotland playing for Motherwell at just a 67 rated on FIFA 20. Stoke City, Bojan, 83 potential. To be fair to Bojan, living up to the hype of being the next Messi was never going to be an easy thing, was it? And in his first season in English football with Stoke, I remember him being excellent. That was like the peak of Stoke Alona. Bojan pulling the strings for them, he was brilliant. Things towards the end of his time at Stoke just seemed to fade out, though he had a couple of loan moves and then didn't really fit into the plans under the managers there. They looked to get back to playing a more direct style of play, and then Bojan wasn't really fitting into that. These days he's out playing his football in the MLS. Birmingham, Demarai Gray, 79 potential. Another one where FIFA wasn't really a million miles away. Now Demarai Gray obviously these days playing his football out in the Premier League for Leicester City, 75 rated on FIFA. I remember it was Preston's first season back in the championship when we played Birmingham fairly early on in that season. I just remember Demarai Gray absolutely ripping us up, and you could tell that he was going to go all the way to the top. And the thing about Birmingham is they've got a fantastic track record with bringing through youngsters. Obviously Jude Bellingham's the latest, but they just got a whole catalogue of them from the past. Wigan Athletic, Emir Hughes, 78 potential. Now this was a transfer to Wigan that just did not work out, and in the end his career's sort of been ruined by injuries really, hasn't it? But he came over to Wigan in 2014 from Man City and was hyped up to be the next big thing. Like, people were surprised Man City were letting him go. He was the under-21s captain for the Man City side, and then ultimately in his 2 years at Wigan only made 16 appearances. These days he's just 68 rated on FIFA and playing his football still at Ipswich Town. Sheffield Wednesday, Stevie May, 78 potential. Now I remember Stevie May quite well from back in the day. Preston tried to sign him and then Sheffield Wednesday beat us to his signature. Back in the days of FIFA 15 he was just 21 years old, was coming off the back of a fantastic season at St Johnstone where he scored over 20 goals, but he couldn't really manage to replicate that in the championship. His first and only season at Sheffield Wednesday he scored 7 goals, which wasn't awful. He got a little bit unlucky that season really. He then made his move over to Preston and then things just didn't click from him here. He got injured, and during his 2 seasons with Preston, just made 13 appearances, scoring the 1 goal, and is now playing his football back out in Scotland, and he's just 66 rated on FIFA, so Stephen Mate didn't quite happen for him. Reading Jordan Obita, 78 potential. After coming through the youth ranks at Reading, there was quite a lot of hype around Obita. I think I'm right in saying he came through as a winger and then sort of transitioned as his career's gone on into the fullback he is now. Obita's an interesting one though, because obviously he's stayed at Reading for his whole career so far, but lately has fallen down the pecking order there, I'd say, a little bit. These days he's 69 rated on FIFA, not quite the player that a few people hyped him up to be, you know, there was hope that he played for England one day. QPR Stephen Culker, 82 potential. Unfortunately, another one that it just didn't happen for him. I know he had his personal problems and everything like that, and it is a shame because back in the day he was really hyped up to be the next big thing in England, wasn't it, at one point? After coming through at Spurs, he then made his move to Cardiff and then to QPR. At one point made a loan move to Liverpool and played as a striker for them under Jurgen Klopp. He's now 69 rated on FIFA 20 and playing his football out in Turkey. Bristol City Joe Bryan, 76 potential. This was the Bristol City squad that had just got promoted up to the Championship and had a lot of good, decent youngsters in there. Joe Bryan, though, being the pick of them. He came through at Bristol City and made over 200 appearances for them, and there was the whole transfer saga when he went on to leave. It looked like he was going to Villa, then made the last-ditch move to Fulham where he is today. 73 rated on FIFA these days, so not a million miles away for that one. Blackburn Rovers, Grant Hanley, 75 potential. Once again, not a million miles away on this one. Grant Hanley's had an interesting career, and actually looking at this Blackburn squad from the 14-15 season, they only went on to finish 9th that season, but they vastly underachieved for the squad they had. They had 2 20 goals a season strikers in Rhodes and Gisted. In midfield, they had Tom Kearney. At the back, they had Grant Hanley next to Shane Duffy. It was a great spine of a team, but just didn't go on to that next level. Obviously, Grant Hanley left Blackburn soon after. He then went to Newcastle, got promoted with them, then made the move to Norwich, got promoted with them. On FIFA 20 these days, he's 70 rated. Preston North End, Callum Robinson, 77 potential. Once again, FIFA not a million miles away on this one, and honestly, what I'd give to get Callum Robinson back in this North End squad at the moment. It's that bit of quality in the final third that we're lacking at the moment, and Callum Robinson, honestly, I love the guy. He's been doing great for West Brom this season, obviously made his move last season out to Sheffield United. He's been a massive loss to our squad. The final season we had Robbo, the 18-19 season, he was something else for us. These days he's 73 rated on FIFA, but yeah, I love the guy. Millwall, Matthew Briggs, 74 potential. The defender came through the youth ranks at Fulham, only spent sort of like half a season at Millwall actually. And he didn't have the greatest of times there. That was the season where Millwall were relegated. He spent the second half of the season out on loan at Colchester. And although at the start of his career he had started really promisingly, you know, he played for Fulham in the Premier League, things just didn't quite turn out that way and happen for him. And he's now playing his football in non-league for Dartford. Swansea City had an 18-year-old Matt Grimes with a potential of 77 on FIFA 15. Grimes signed for Swansea in the January transfer window in 2015 from Exeter for 1.75 million. And after a few loan spells here and there is now first team regular for Swansea. Matt Grimes these days on FIFA is 72 rated, so still got a bit of way to go until he gets that 77 rated, but at only 24 could still go on and do it. Derby County, Will Hughes, 82 potential. It's weird to think that he's still only 24 years old, Will Hughes, because it just feels like he's been around for absolutely ages, but that's because he burst onto the scene at Derby at such a young age, obviously. Right now we're talking about someone like Jude Bellingham a lot. Back in the day in the Championship, the next big prospect coming through was Will Hughes in 2015. He was playing in the first team for Derby while he was still finishing his A-levels. Eventually got the move to the Premier League to Watford for a fee of £8 million, and has since gone on to become, I'd say, like a solid Premier League player. Perhaps not to like the great heights that we once thought, like we thought he'd be a first team regular for England at one point. These days he's 77 rated on FIFA, but I'm interested to see for a player like Will Hughes how the next sort of like 4 or 5 years of his career go. Cardiff City, Ravel Morrison, 84 potential. Back in the 14-15 season, Cardiff took Ravel Morrison, they took a punt on him, having him on loan for the start of the season. It only lasted 3 months there before getting recalled by West Ham. Just the 7 appearances he made for them in the Championship, and Russell Slade didn't seem to be the biggest fan. When he made that loan move as well, he was only 21 years old, so there was really still the hope that Morrison would really make something of himself. After that, then made his permanent move to Lazio, and since then has been sort of like hopping all over the globe. Now finds himself back in the Championship with Middlesbrough. Nottingham Forest, Jamal Lascelles, 81 potential. Now back in FIFA 15, Forest had quite the young squad. They had quite a few youngsters in this one with quite high potential. Jamal Lascelles was the pick of the bunch though, 67 rated with the potential of 81. Now playing his football in the Premier League with Newcastle, and he's 78 rated, so they're not too far off on that one. Another one that I found quite interesting from that one, British Sumberlonger had a potential of 80. Fulham, Patrick Roberts, 83 potential. Just 17 years old on FIFA 15, Patrick Roberts. He came through at Fulham and then made his move over to Manchester City for £12 million. And since being at Man City, he's had a spattering of loan spells here and there. Did well at Celtic for a few seasons, went out on loan to La Liga, had a brief spell at Norwich where he didn't really feature much, and is now obviously playing his football at Borough, where he did pick up an injury but has now been back in the squad and has shown his quality, although he is only 23, and what he has shown in these loan spells, there is real bursts of quality there. Brentford Jota, 76 potential. Now FIFA got this one pretty much spot on at one point because he was 75 rated on 1 year's edition of FIFA. I feel like he peaked at his last season at Brentford. Like that last season that he was at Brentford under Dean Smith, oh my god, this guy was good. I'd be interested to know from Brentford fans, how would you rate like the wingers you've had over the last few years? Like how would you rate like a peak Jota compared to a peak Benrahma and Bimu? How would you rank those 1 to 3? Because Jota, oh my god, the 16-17 season was just something else. Then he made his move over to Birmingham, and it wasn't really like he was good at Birmingham at times, but it wasn't really a system that suited him. Like they played 4-4-2, and like a flair player like Jota, they were never going to get the best out of him. And now obviously he's playing in the struggling Aston Villa side in the Premier League, where his opportunities have been fairly limited. West Brom Sadio Berahino, 82 potential. Obviously we all know the story about Berahino. It's been well documented, and when he burst through at West Brom, he was, you know, hyped up to be the next big thing. I mean, there was one point where it seemed like everyone in the Premier League was after him. West Brom rejected the 25 million bid from Spurs. Eventually he ended up going to Stoke for 12 million, and then that's when things started to really go downhill. Obviously we all know about that ridiculous goal drought that Berahino went on, and he was like unreal when he burst onto the scene. Like the 14-15 season, he scored 20 goals that season, and then after that just massively fell off. He's now playing his football out in Belgium, where to be fair to him does seem to be picking himself back up, but on FIFA these days finds himself as a 69 rated, not quite at the level we once thought Berahino would reach. And then finishing it off with Leeds United, Lewis Cook, 80 potential. And to be fair to FIFA, they've almost been spot on with this one. Lewis Cook still very much a young player as well, only 23 years old. He's currently 77 rated on FIFA, so just 3 off his FIFA 15 potential. And Leeds have quite the track record, you have to admit, with bringing through young English central midfielders, don't they? I mean, Calvin Phillips has been the latest. Before that, they've had the likes of James Milner, Fabian Delph all play at Leeds. He's going to get capped by England as well, and obviously things in the Premier League for Bournemouth at the moment aren't looking too good, so if they do get relegated, I'm interested to see what happens with Lewis Cook, whether someone else in the Premier League comes in for him, or if we'll be seeing him next season in the Championship, because there's definitely a player there. But guys, there you have it. There was every Championship club and who their highest prospect was, highest potential in FIFA 15, and what they're up to these days. Did they live up to the hype or not? Let me know down below. But apart from that, thanks very much for watching. If you'd like to see any other videos like this, then please do let me know. Also, please do leave a like if you want to enjoy, and subscribe for some regular Championship content. As you know, we got the climax of this Championship season coming up, and I think it's going to be a cracker. But apart from that, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.